Okay, so decentralized application in short form, it is known as dApp, small d and big cap A. So what is this decentralized application, right? Think about any applications you are running today, right? Be it Facebook, Instagram, any kind of third-party applications you have in your mobile, and you are like kind of browsing through it, right? How does it work? Most of the times there will be a central server. Again, central server will be like located across countries or continents if it is a big kind of Facebook or Instagram app, and there will be like kind of a some agency, some organization for Instagram or Facebook is the Facebook company, right? If you are using Amazon like kind of application or Prime Video or Netflix, right? So there are organizations behind it, right? And they are kind of uh, responsible to develop that applications, to kind of provide those maintenance, provide those fixes, right? So think in that way. Like there are organizations and they are creating applications, and you are using that, right? Most of the times they are free, but again, if you are using Netflix or Prime Video, you have to pay a certain amount of money, right? So if I want to create an application today, right, in similar scale of Facebook or Instagram, right? Obviously, we do not have that kind of. I do not have that kind of technical prowess. I might have an idea, but I do not have that kind of technical knowledge. It, even let's say I kind of get or gather those kind of technical knowledge, get those 10 or 12 resources, right? We might not. I might not have that kind of amount of money to create that kind of applications to market it, right? Obviously for initial years, lot many this kind of applications, right, will be in loss, right? Think about Paytm, think about your Google Pay, or think about Zomato, Uber, any kind of applications, right? So there are certain organizations behind it. In the beginning, obviously they'll get certain funding, they will run those applications, and some of them have become big like Facebook, Instagram, or Uber, which have started generating profits. Still Zomato, with a market share of 1 lakh crore, they are still a loss making organization, right? So that is one aspect where organizations are creating applications, right? And users like you and me are using that applications. Think about a scenario where users come together, create applications, and that applications are decentralized, right? That is not running on a single server. There is no central organizations who is, obviously there will be a group of people, but there is not a legal structure, or a, it is not bound by a company policy or company rules or regulations, right? You want to create an applications, you along with some other people get together and create an applications, and that can be open source, right? So that is one of the big criteria, big conditions when I call about decentralized applications. It need to be open source. That means whatever code is behind that, let's say that application, that need to be visible to all the public. There is no single entity, single organization who is kind of owning that application. Group of people come together and build that application, and that is open source or public to each of the participants. Second aspect is when you talk about any applications, right? Actually, organizations are gathering your information, right? And that is one of the kind of revenue source for them. Obviously, a lot of regulations, lot of conditions are, at least in Europe and USA, they have built that, okay, you cannot sell person's identity or person's kind of information without their consent. But still, it happens, right? They do that in different ways. They take your information and give it to other agencies who require those kind of information, right? But at least in, because your decentralized applications or dApps will be running on this kind of decentralized platform, mostly in based on blockchain, right? And the main idea about blockchain is the privacy. The identity of my identity will not be known to the other participants, right? It will be hidden behind your those hashing algorithm. Only my addresses, that hashed addresses, will be known to each other, right? So that is somewhere the additional concept of privacy comes into this decentralized applications, right? First thing is open source, right? There is no central certain organizations or certain individuals who have created a code. So if I just want to see how that Facebook algorithm works, or how does a let's say Instagram algorithm works, I might have an idea, but exact code I do not have that access to it, right? It is not a publicly available code. It is not open source, right? Same thing about any software you are using today's world. If it is a software which you are purchasing, right, the code is not available to you, right? But when I talk about the application, that is the first criteria. It has to be open source because it will be built over a blockchain platform, and the code will be built by the like-minded users, right? It is not that okay, I started the code and I'll be the owner of that code, right? It won't work like that. Second, the identity of the individuals who are participating or using that decentralized applications will be secured, right? So that is the main idea behind this decentralized applications. Before we get into decentralized applications, right, let us try to discuss about something called automated agents, which is again an extension of smart contract, right? So smart contract, remember the discussion what we had, right? If right now think about this I am taking the classes, and let's say I give you an assignment. Last class I gave you an assignment. Complete this assignment, you'll get a 3 point, like whatever the grading, 3.5 point or 2 point, whatever the scores are. So that is the agreement. Though we did not have pen and paper, we did not have a legal agreement, but that is something, some kind of agreement, right? You complete the assignment within time, and I'll evaluate that, and I'll provide you certain points based upon whatever you have written in your assignment. If I want to make it legal in terms of, let's say somebody is building a like or buying a house or buying a property land, right? How does it happen? They'll go to a third party municipal office or a register office, land register office. There they'll show the documents. Okay, I own this document, and in front of certain notary or certain individuals who are authorized, right? They'll say that okay, this sale deed will happen, right? Okay, on this day, I am this person, son of or daughter of this person, belonging to this location, purchasing this land at a price of this from this person, right? These are the details of that land sales deed, right? For that, for that to happen, what happens? A lot of stakeholders are involved. So what we discuss in smart contract, rather than having human stakeholders, if I able to put a kind of a software code. So smart contract is nothing but a piece of software code. If these conditions are met on this day, the information or the this whatever the sale deed is there, land registration is there, this land registration is will be changed to this person's name, and from this person's account, let's say 10 lakhs or 15 lakhs or 20 lakhs, whatever the value has been agreed, will be transferred to other person. So you need not have to have a involvement of third party directly. Obviously in some cases you need to have involvement of, let's say somebody has to see whether actually land is in his name or not, right? Whether there is any dispute or not, right? So that can be again taken care with the blockchain, right? Some third party auditors who have access to blockchain, who have access to those documents, they can be a proof of authority, right? That is something which we have discussed, right? Some people who have authorized, right, to take care of those documentation or checking those documentation, they will authorize the okay, yes, this documentation or these things are valid, right? So those will be the special or master nodes. So smart contracts generally work in that way, right? So there is a contract, legal contract between two parties, two organizations it can be. So we discussed something about a letter of credit. Earlier, for letter of credit to happen, there need to be involvement few banks, few logistics company, insurance companies, right? Who will insure those transportation, provide those transportation insurance. So there used to be at least involvement of 8 to 10 stakeholders. Rather than having all of that, and because humans are involved, it will be always delayed. So if I can put a piece of software code and two parties based upon that agreement, what they have agreed, they can put that on smart contract, and whenever those conditions are met, the amount of money will be released to the other party. So basically, whatever our legal contract or whatever our binding contract between two parties, if I can convert that into a piece of code, that is nothing but a smart contract, right? Same concept if I just kind of take it little bit of further, and I can make it automated. So the concept of automated agents, if you think, look into the right side of picture, the right side picture, think about a person having a mm, kind of whatever property they has, right? After his death, he wants to kind of give it to his some charity, his sons or daughters, or he wants to distribute, right? For that, he has to have a deed, right? He has to sell that, okay, this is my, he will go to a notary, he will like, notary will take certain fees, and in case death happens, that notary will execute that deed, saying that, okay, this person has given this amount of his property to this NGO or this amount to this charity, and the balance amount will be distributed among sons and daughters, right? Generally, people do that, right? So they create a deed. In case they die at a certain point of time, that deed will be executed. But who generally executes that? That is generally executed by a notary advocate, right? So advocate will be taking certain fees, either a lump sum fee one time or a yearly fee. And in case of your death, their lawyers organizations will take care of all those documentation and all those property distribution, right? Same thing can be automated, right? So if I can build a, I need not have to build, I just can put my requirement in a any kind of this kind of automated agent application, right? Which is again based upon this kind of blockchain platform. So after certain days, every whatever 10 like kind of that time frame, that agent will be checking with you through an email or through whatever communication method you require, that okay, whether you are active or whether you are alive, and at a certain day, let's say that person has died, right? That agent, so think about that notary advocate has been replaced by the automated software agent. That agent itself is going to distribute. So what do you mean by distribute? Generally, what does that notary advocate does? He is going to inform all those participants who are going to take that share of the property, right? Same thing that automated software line of code is going to do, that agent, right? So that is nothing but example of the automated agent, right? Same example, if you see the right side of the slide, lot of times companies have, let's say whoever is working in data analytics companies, right? So one of the a key role of a data engineer is to find storage space, optimize the storage space, right? Whether it will be through Amazon Web Server or Microsoft Azure, right? If I have taken the services of Amazon Web Services, AWS, how much cloud storage is required, how much processing speed is required, right? Depending upon the requirement, each month, each week, it keeps changing. And that is a job of a data engineer. As a data engineer, whether you are using Hadoop, Spark, or any kind of software, right? The main aspect is where it will be stored and how it is going to work, right? One of the key aspect or key job role of a data engineer is to kind of optimize the storage space where you are keeping data, where you are managing those data, which will be later used by the data scientists for the analysis part, right? If rather than having that activity or that work by a resource or a software engineer, that part can be automated depending upon my data storage requirement. Automatically, whatever cloud storage space is required, that can be rented, that can be optimized, right? So that is right now companies like Amazon, Google, they have started using rather than keeping human resources, because it is again an algorithm, right? How much data storage space is required, how to optimize it, right? I just can write software line of code. Accordingly, that software line of code can interact and get that storage space. I need not have to have a resource to work for that logic, right? It works on a certain logic or rule, right? So rather than a human resource working on that, I can have a line of code which will be a software agent or a automated agent who can do those activities, right? So that is the main principle of a automated agents, right? It is not related specifically to blockchain, but once you add that to a blockchain, right? then what we know it as a smart contract, right? So if I'm building these automated agents using blockchain, right? Software piece of code. So in both the cases, these are software pieces of code, right? And that concept earlier also used to be there before we started using or talking about blockchain, right? But only thing the smart contract does is it is based upon certain blockchain platform, right? So that is the only difference between this, right? Any questions on this? Any questions on automated agents? Okay. So coming back to decentralized applications, like I said, decentralized applications are the applications which is based on blockchain platform, right? There is no single authority, right? It is there is no single organization who is behind that application, right? Then how does it vary from a smart contract? Because again, smart contract we discussed about it is software pieces of code, right? So one major difference is whenever I'm building a smart contract, right? It is a contract between two organizations or two entities, right? But here, if I'm talking about decentralized applications, there is no limit of number of individuals who can get associated and create decentralized applications or who can use decentralized applications. Think about a common concept. I want to bid about currently that T20 World Cup is going, or before that IPL was happening, right? If we want to place bets, right, rather than going to a betting platform, if I'm able to create a decentralized application so that people can join, put their bet, and if they win, automatically they'll get the money, right? So there is no central authority who will keep the money. If somebody wins the bet, he will distribute the money and he will take a fee out of that. Rather than doing that, let's say few individuals create and decentralized applications, right, which will run on a blockchain platform, and the amount of money can be distributed depending upon the winning side, right? And there is already this kind of bid or this kind of betting platform using blockchain platform, right? So that is one aspect, one key difference between smart contract and decentralized application. Smart contract will generally happen between two organizations or two individuals. Your dApps, multiple individuals, multiple stakeholders can be involved. Second is decentralized application need not be necessarily financial, which is again a one big use case for smart contract. Generally, smart contract happens if these conditions are met, this amount of financial transaction will happen, right? But this, let's say, this land deed or this earlier use case what we discussed, right? Letter of credit. If this transportation of material will happen, then I will send this amount of money to the other party, right? So that is a smart contract. But here, though major use cases of decentralized applications are also financial, there are non-financial decentralized applications also, right? So there is a Wikipedia, like Wikipedia is a knowledge kind of storage, like where world's knowledge, everybody is free to create knowledge there, right? You can create an account in Wikipedia and you can start writing about anything, right? So it is a consolidation of like kind of a encyclopedia of knowledge, right? All the information is available in a single website. Same thing, there is a same parallel of Wikipedia. I think that is Everpedia. I think there is a slide on that also, which has been created using blockchain platform. There is no financial gain out of it. But again, it is decentralized. In Wikipedia, what happens? There is a agency, there is a kind of a Wikipedia organization which controls or censors some part of kind of material or some part of content. People from North Korea, people from China, people from some countries are not able to access Wikipedia, not able to use Wikipedia because Chinese government can ban that kind of uh, organizations or that kind of entity, right? Same thing if I and people will be afraid to write the content on their own name, right? So that is again a privacy issue. So same concept has been applied and people have created, I think that name is Everpedia, using a blockchain platform where people can write anonymously Government cannot track who has written what. So let's say the people in China or North Korea are whatever hell they are going through, right? They'll will be able to use that platform without the problem of somebody finding that kind of address. But in Wikipedia, that will happen. If you write something on Wikipedia and it is anti-national, let's say somebody from Ecuador, North Korea, Philippines, or some other country, true thing happening in their country, and if they write, government will be able to track them down. But that is the additional security because it is being used through a blockchain platform. Government will not be able to find that the person, right? So decentralized applications usage can be non-financial also, right? One example like I gave, that is Everpedia. Then how does it work? Some of you might have used torrents, right? BitTorrent or MuTorrent, those torrent. Right now, I think it is banned in India unless you are using VPNs and all those things. So that itself is a application of dApps, right? Because what happens if you are downloading a movie is not there in a central server. Resources or users are there. Some part of once you download that software and install that client in your machine, so your machine itself becomes a uploader and downloader, right? Some part of movie will be simultaneously getting uploaded to other users devices, right? So that itself can be an application, or that can be example of a decentralized application. No central authority. There is a no central server where somebody has put a movie or a document and you are downloading it from there. So that is an anonymous decentralized application. Something called reputation based decentralized applications, right? In some cases, like I said, if you need to have certain entities, certain individuals who need to play a role of, like, let's say this kind of betting platform or a land deal platform, right? Where land can be sold or transferred, or a building kind of apartment rental platform, right? You need certain people who can validate the real world, what is happening in the real world, right? So that can be used on a reputation based decentralized application, right? Generally decentralized applications are two types: anonymous decentralized application. Second one is reputation based decentralized application, where the identity of certain individuals or certain entities are known in that network, because they will play the role of validator, right? So this is how decentralized applications work. We'll go through certain examples, and I guess I had asked you to at least write about three decentralized applications in your assignment. Any questions on this before we proceed further? So key characteristics of decentralized application, that is what we have discussed already. Open source, right? So it is not that a single entity, single Facebook. Obviously, it is not a decentralized application. Code is not open source. There is already entity who controls it. Its data records must be public, right? And it must use a cryptographic token to help keep the network secure, right? So that is where the use of those kind of uh, cryptocurrencies or crypto tokens comes into picture, right? Because if it is a financial, right, so it is not that you are going to pay in USD or pay in INR, right? So you need to pay certain in either Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any kind of whichever currency, whichever cryptocurrency that blockchain platform is using, right? Advantages, disadvantages. Obviously, censorship resistant, that is the one of the biggest advantage of this kind of decentralized applications, right? Governments or entities, organizations cannot close that down, right? No downtime. I'll not agree with that. That depends a lot on how many users are using, right? Because if it is not got into mainstream, right? Very small users base, right? It There will still be a downtime. Blockchain based, so that is basically where you will be able to use smart contracts, cryptocurrencies over that blockchain platform, and open source, right? So that means and that is one of the key aspects, not only on decentralized applications. If you see a lot of softwares in today's world, uh, Linux per se, lot of development in software area is happening on Linux because it is open source. because if Linux would have been like something like Microsoft or Windows or Mac, it would not have developed so far. Lot of any server you can think of runs on Linux because it is open source. Lot of people have developed that software, that platform for last 20-25 years. Same thing with R and Python. People build data analytics software like SAS, SPSS, right, for 30 years or 35 or 40 years, right? Using lot of money, you providing lot of investment in that, right? Developing that kind of infrastructure or building that kind of software. But just think about Python or R, and mostly about the Python. The developer community is so strong that every now and then people start building packages, right? If you use Python, any kind of like kind of looking into future, right? Any kind of integration with any kind of software can happen through Python, right? Because one of the biggest advantage was it was open source. There was lot of people came together and start to develop it, right? And that is the biggest advantage of being open source. If the code is available, right, there will be many people who will like to contribute to that kind of code or to improve that, right? Rather than being a helping a organization. Uh, Hacking, so that is the disadvantage. If it is open source, that is again a problem, right? If your algorithm or if you hackers, right, somebody wants to play mischief, they know about how that algorithm works, right? And it is already available, they need not have to like kind of go and hack to know about that algorithm, right? If already it is publicly available, they know how that structure works, right? It will be little bit of easier to hack. But again, the challenge is because it is not centrally located, right? Which kind of device to hack, right? That will become a challenge for the hackers or the kind of those software engineers who want to hack that system. Usability, that is again a lot of challenge around usability. Think about Facebook, Instagram. Lot of we are using it because the user interface is so good, right? They do a lot of research, create those user interfaces so that people will keep using that. If you once get into Instagram, you'll start keeping rolling to that reels, right? 10 second, 5 second, 15 second, and we'll continue watching that, right? Because that user interface has been built accordingly. But if you think about a decentralized applications, right? Mostly it is software pieces of code. There is no kind of a structure or it doesn't look or that look or feel good, right? The sense of using a application or using a website, how it looks, right? So that aspect is still not very good if you think about decentralized applications. People have started doing it, but if I compare a, let's say, uh, Facebook, Instagram, same thing with a something similar in decentralized applications, the user interface will be very poor in this kind of decentralized applications, right? Then obviously the number of users, there are around, I think every month, around 1,500 to 2,000 applications are being created, decentralized applications. But I think if I ask you to name few, you might name one or two, or if you have done your homework. If not, I don't think any of you will be able to name a decentralized application. So that is one big challenge with decentralized applications. Still, it is not become mainstream, right? People do not know about it. Even people started to know about it, people will be little bit of skeptical to use it, right? Because anytime that happens, right, any kind of new software or new application comes, people will initially hesitate, right? Unless that critical mass has been reached, right? Once you get into that critical mass number of users, right, then only it will shoot up, right? Any software application you can think of, initially nobody start 5 years back, how many of us used to use this Google Pay, Phone Pay or Paytm, right? Then they used to give lot of offers, lot of discount, then people started using it. Obviously there is a event happened of demonetization, and that kind of propelled this kind of activities. But even before that, even after that, right, unless that critical mass reached, right, number of users started growing, right, unless it reaches a certain point, still many people will not use it, and that is one of the biggest challenge in decentralized applications. Number of users are still less, right? uh, Type of decentralized applications, if I look into the right side of the screen, financial applications, right? Certain like so that is what we'll be discussing on decentralized finance, right? People have created you name anything, whatever your central bank or these regional banks do, right? Retail banks do, right? Starting from insurance, starting from a loan, starting from arbitrage, starting from uh, options, starting anything, uh, yield harvesting, anything you can name of which a bank, normal bank does all those financial activities in primary market or secondary market, right? Everything can be done through a decentralized finances, and there are a lot of valuable use cases in this, and they're making money actually, right? And they are able to generate revenue. Obviously revenue is not comparable to whatever banks are generating, but they have started generating revenue, which is an interesting part. So any of these banks, you know, of HDFC, ICICI, SBI, right? Whatever activities they do, everything can be done through this kind of financial decentralized applications. So we'll take it separately as a decentralized finances, right? Next session will completely cover that, all those aspects of decentralized applications using or use case of finance. Then some of them are partially financial applications, like that gambling app I was talking about, right? The main intent is a mix of whatever the fun or gaming applications, right? Lot of gaming applications are there where you will if you play, you will be winning certain cryptocurrencies, right? If you win that gamble, let's say T20 match is going on, and I gamble that okay, India will win within 7 weeks remaining or 8 wickets remaining, right? Whatever gamble I'm playing, right? So there will be certain financial benefit out of it, but it is not a main aspect, is not any financial product, right? It is not providing certain insurance services. It is not providing any savings option. It is not providing any arbitrage options, right? So those are the actual financial activities, right, which will be taken care by decentralized finances, right? Then obviously there are certain decentralized applications, like I talked about that Everpedia, right? So that is again information storage, right? Information, like not information, knowledge creation platform, right? So that is something which are non-financial decentralized applications, right? Or whatever you have used earlier, BitTorrent, those kind of applications. Then if I talk about the platform, how decentralized applications are using platform, some decentralized applications have their own blockchain platform. So whichever decentralized applications have their own blockchain platform, right? So they are basically type 0. So they are the Bitcoin, Ethereum per se. If I talk about Doge, if Ethereum has their own decentralized applications, right? So they will have their, those are the type 0. Type 1 is they do not have their own blockchain platform. They use certain like kind of some other blockchain platform like Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? So that will become type 1. So my decentralized application is based upon whichever prevalent, whichever is the market leader on cryptocurrency, maybe Ethereum, Bitcoin, or Cardano, or EOS, or Tron, right? So if I'm using a, for creating decentralized applications, certain group of individuals created a decentralized application based upon, so they have not created a blockchain per se. So they'll be using a blockchain which is already existing in the market, right? So in that case, it will be a type 1 decentralized application. Type 2 again, which is based upon a type 1 kind of platform, right? Which is already created a their own token, right? Augur or Golem, they have their own tokens, right? Based on that, on if I'm creating another decentralized applications, that will be type 2. So basically, type 0, Ethereum, Bitcoin, EOS, Tron, so they have their own blockchain. So they are the blockchains, right? So any if they that group of people create a decentralized application, right? That is type 0. any other decentralized application which is based upon the first layer of blockchains, right? So that is type 1. Type 2 will be based upon type 1 platforms, right? So this is the definitions of concepts about the different type of decentralized applications. Any questions on this?
Sir, can you please give me some examples of type 2 decentralized apps?
Yeah, so type 2, if you see here, there is something called safe network. Uh, One of the like kind of key challenge, like I said, the identity, even if you are a node, if you are a user, right? Any kind of what will say network, Facebook, Instagram, right? Even if you hide your name, even if you hide your address, right? People will come to know about it, right? So this network, I think they have their own token, safe token, right? So they have created a network with which your identity can be forever hidden. So all the information in that, so how does it work in that blockchain platform safe chain network? So whatever information gets into that blockchain, it is randomly assigned to different nodes. So that means your addresses can be never known. Even a government wants to know about your addresses, it will never come to know about your addresses. Whatever activities you are doing on that decentralized application. So that is again a key challenge. It can be illegal also. That is one big unfavorable thing about all these blockchain platforms. That is somewhere they are using that platform, safe chain, and I think the coin is safe. So that is a type 2.
Sir, the works of network do like hiding the identity
Yeah.
that will violate the blockchain features like transparency.
No, transparency in this sense, transparency is that, see, blockchain identity is always hidden. So the point is how well you are able to hide your identity, right? So in normal blockchain, if I think about Bitcoin or Ethereum, how your identity is hidden. So it talks something about private key or public key. So there also, it is not that government will be able to know, right? So that is somewhere your already identity is hidden. So what we talked about transparency is transparency is about the code. So if you want to develop on something in Ethereum, you are free to do. The code is available. Bitcoin code is available and it will be available everywhere. So that is the transparency part of it. So nothing is hidden that, okay, I'll take a space in your computer and I'll get certain data like a lot of applications do, or I'll have access to your let's say camera or microphone, right? A lot of applications, if you see in today's world, like what they do, whether they require it or not require it, they will have access to all our personal information, right? And we do not know what they're trying to do with that kind of information. So that part of transparency is available in any kind of blockchain. So when I say transparency, transparency doesn't mean that everybody knows the other user, because in that case, again, the privacy aspect will not be there. Transparency, when you talked about transparency in terms of whatever that blockchain is intending to do or whatever that application is intending to do, that is very transparent because the code itself is visible. That is the other part, is that if I am like putting effort to understand that code, understand what that application is doing, right? A lot of us will not do that. But so that is, but that is the, when we talk about the transparency nature, that is the transparent part. But even in blockchain also, your identity is hidden. Only thing what will be known is your public addresses. Now what does this safe moon does, how your that identity, public key or private key, those addresses are being stored and being executed, right? Somebody will not be able to track that. So that is the like kind of security part.
Got it, sir.
But transparency is not in terms of privacy. So privacy part is basically your identity, nobody will be able to know unless you share your private key. Transparency is in terms of overall what does that application is intending to do. Everybody knows that, right? No hidden agenda behind. So that is the transparent part. Okay. So again, like there are lot of dApps. If you go to, there is something called dApp Explorer. So if you see like how many decentralized applications have been created in last 1 year, last month, right? And different platforms they are using, different domains they are into. Some, like I said, most of the use cases are into finances. So we'll take it separately. Some of them are into gaming. Some of them are into NFT, right? So a lot of decentralized applications across different areas, supply chain. So if you go to that site, the App Explorer, you will find a lot of details around it. I'll just take a few examples of how they are getting used. Like I said, the betting platform, right? Augur is one of the major player of this area, decentralized applications, where you can put bet and depending upon the like kind of whatever amount, right? You can win those bet. That is based upon the Ethereum blockchain. Golem is another one interesting decentralized applications. A lot of us have spare computing power, right? We are just have computers with processors and hard disk space. We are not actually using it, right? How to monetize it? See, what does a cloud service do? Like cloud services are basically Amazon is maintaining those servers, right? Amazon is maintaining physical servers, or companies like let's say KIT University want to keep the documents, student data, employee data, anything about the university data I want to store. Rather than having a physical server in my KIT University, I can take the services of Amazon Web Service or Microsoft Azure Web Services, and that data will be stored in that server, Amazon server or Microsoft server, and I'll be paying fees for that. So that is how the cloud services work. Same thing if I implement. So this they came up with the idea, right? Why cannot we use lot of people across world are using laptops, desktops, and they have this storage space. This they have this processing power, which is just staying idle. Most of the hours they are just sitting idle, right? So can we monetize it, right? So if I get all those computing power, computing resources together, right? And if you are able to create generate revenue out of it, right? Then that concept is which they are using Golang, right? Think about in this way, like you need to run certain high-end software or some model on artificial intelligence. So generally, what will happen? You will take a either IBM's or Amazon's or Microsoft Azure's platform, because you won't have that much computing power, that much storage space, unless you are paying a lot of money around it. Either you'll buy that infrastructure, buy that storage space to process that kind of big data. If you do not have, you'll take a help of this third-party service provider. Now, what will happen? Rather than going to Amazon or Microsoft, who might charge me a lot of money, I can go to take a help of these kind of services, Golem, who is not actually like kind of a central agency, which is nothing but a lot of users come together and they give their computing power. They give their computing whatever hard disk space available, right? And you can run whatever your software or whatever model you want to run using that available storage space or processing power. Right? So that is how the business model of Golang. Right. So in each user, depending upon the whatever processing power, whatever hard disk space they are sharing, they'll get monetized or they'll get a token for that. Right. So your assets which is lying idle, laptop or desktop, your storage space or processing power will generate revenue for it. So that this is something very interesting. Uh, so this is the decentralized application which I was talking about. Everypedia, which is basically a kind of competitor, I'll not say competitor, but again a kind of a similar applications like Wikipedia, right? Here the main difference will become in Wikipedia, government will be able to censor your content depending upon the country, right? Here, still, unless they ban every application, every mobile phone, it will not be possible to ban or censor this kind of content which you will be writing on Everypedia, right? one advantage of US Ethereum, as you know, if you're using Ethereum platform, there is something called gas fee, right? For the transaction fee you have to pay, right? If I'm building any decentralized application using Ethereum, right? Ethereum generates revenue out of. But US at this point of time, they're not kind of charging any transaction fee. So many people are trying to create rather than using Ethereum, right? So it has now become one of the biggest competitor of Ethereum. Though they started actually building their own application using